All right, so as we begin this part, we will be finishing up the pencil lines. We might as well start off by putting the cab window in. Cab window itself is about 1/2 inch. Put a sunshade over it. Typical sunshade that a lot of locomotives have. And there's a little mirror right in front. And then as we do this, you kind of start looking around for details, like there's a antenna right on top. And actually, right here you see there's the horn in the back. A lot of modern locomotives, the horn's in the back. Sort of a signature of generally quite a few modern engines. Kind of move it to the back. And put some little box here with rivets. Riveting's kind of a sort of there we go. And there's a door here. Kind of see how details just sort of fill in areas of the locomotive. All of a sudden, a little blank area all of a sudden has several more details. And then in this step, we put the latches on the door. There's a pattern to them. You can kind of, after you draw them several times, you sort of pick up just kind of by looking at. And actually, sometimes when you, here and there, when you see engines that you almost think are one engine type, you actually, at times, these door latches, sometimes you go, oh, you can kind of almost count them. Then why don't we put the fuel tank right at about a 1/4 inch. Pretty good size fuel tank here. At about 1/8 inch. There we go. And put the air reservoir. And the fuel fillers. Gauge. You can kind of see that a lot of the details just sort of start to fill in. And here's the window here, sight glass. And there's a little door similar here on the front and the back. Goes right here. Pretty much getting this engine ready to have the handrails put on it. This engine has white handrails on a red background, which is a little bit challenging in the sense that the white handrails go through white lettering and stuff, but sometimes that's a good thing to practice, because there'll be engines where you kind of want to keep lettering and logos legible while the handrails pass through them. So I always recommend practicing things like that. Always start working on the handrails, and a lot of times when you work on handrails, you kind of start to notice other details, like here's the ditch light. Notice that. Here up front. Then the front nose handrail. You definitely want to keep the handrails on this engine a little bit thicker, because you're going to be painting them not a lot thicker, but a little bit, because you're going to be painting them or leaving them white on the red background. Times on engines, like if the handrails are gray or black or orange or red, blue, you almost want to maybe even make them as thin as just a single line. Might as well put the back handrail on too. There we go. The MU connecting too. Just set all sorts of details on locomotives. There we go. And let's put it's kind of all kinds of little places where you can kind of see. As I said, sometimes it doesn't hurt to, like this handrail's right in front of there, and then you can kind of see, just maybe put one right in between those two. Kind of helps skip ahead. There's maybe one right here, and there's one in between. Kind of almost a little leapfrog of handrails. There's one right there, one right there. Then there's one in the back, one right there. Then there's going to be one right between those. And then the handrails are all on. That definitely does kind of help sometimes if you go ahead where you see where there's one that very easily seems to kind of go in place. And basically the grab irons are kind of right behind the handrails. And pretty much, if you just kind of look it over one more time, our pencil lines are pretty much done, and then we'll be ready to letter this locomotive. All right.